the DJ play the vibe.
Dance till the night dies,
Till the night dies.
live
Till the sunrise. Till the sunrise.
work, get your whole life, get your whole life. We gon' pose for that spotlight, we gon' dance till the night dies. They don't get their life like they used to, they don't get their life.
They don't take the night like they used to. They don't take the night like they used to.
They don't make them beats like they used to, they don't make them beats.
They don't take the night like they used to.
They don't take that night like they used to.
Good evening. Mr. Mesa unfortunately cannot be here today, so I will be taking over for Mr. Mesa. Again, good evening. I call this meeting of January 21st, 2019 to order. Madam Secretary, would you please take roll?
Mr. Contreras?
Present.
Mrs. Guanajuato Webb?
Present.
Mr. Mesa? Mr. Overfelt?
Present.
Mrs. Sanders? Mr. Smith?
Present.
And myself. Ma'am, we have a quorum.
Let the record show we have a quorum. This meeting was duly called, and notice of this meeting was posted in accordance to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Code 551. We will now have opening ceremonies. We will have a short moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now go to item 4 on our agenda. 4A, Fine Arts Recognition, Ricardo Rios.
There goes my heart beating, 'cause you are the reason I'm losing my sleep. Please come back now. And if I could turn back the clock, I'd make sure the light defeated the dark. I'd spend every hour of every day keeping you safe, and I'd climb every mountain and swim every ocean just to be with you and fix what I've broken. Oh, 'cause I need you to see that you are the reason. I don't wanna force it, just a little closer, come a little closer. I need you to hold me tonight, 'cause I need you to see that you are the reason.
That was the dance company Congratulations, ladies. Great job. Next on our agenda, we have item 4B, recognition of the Save Texas History Contest state finalist, Clarissa Gonzalez, presented by Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, Mrs. Webb and members of the board. Last month, Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush announced the 4th and 7th grade winners of the 2018 Save Texas History Essay Contest, sponsored by the Texas General Land Office's Save Texas History Program. Clarissa M. Gonzalez is a 7th grader at Del Rio Middle School, was named as one of 5 state finalists. She is the proud daughter of Leo and Bonita Cárdenas. The essay contest encourages students to answer the question, what history in your community or in Texas is worth saving? Clarissa's essay is titled San Felipe Springs, highlighted the need to preserve Del Rio's most precious natural resource. As a finalist, Clarissa received $100 courtesy of the Rotary Club of Austin and the Sons of the Republic of Texas, and a Texas flag that was flown over the northernmost point of the Republic of Texas in present-day Wyoming. All winners and finalists also received a Save Texas History backpack and a replica of a historic map from the Glow Archives map collection, and a certificate of achievement signed by Commissioner Bush. As a former history teacher, it is especially rewarding to encourage students to learn more about our state's rich history by participating in the annual Save Texas History Essay Contest, said Commissioner Bush. I want to thank all the students who submitted essays, as well as the teachers and the parents who encouraged them to participate. The submissions were thoughtful and creative examples of how future generations of Texas appreciate the rich history in their local communities and around the state, and what the students would do to save Texas history. So let's give a warm congratulations to Clarissa.
Clarissa, congratulations. I have known this young lady since she was about 3 or 4 with Head Start. Congratulations, Clarissa. Job well done.
Bonnie.
Clarissa, if we can have you stand right in the center and then look up at towards the top, so take a picture. There we go.
Once again, congratulations, Clarissa. Keep up the great work. Next, we have recognition of the Campus Teacher of the Month for December 2018 by Aide Garcia.
Good evening, Vice President Guanajuato Webb, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Each month during the school year, the district recognizes the Teacher of the Month. And tonight, the principals will proudly introduce the Teachers of the Month for December. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to the principals.
Good evening, Mrs. Guanajuato Webb, Dr. Rios, and board members. Del Rio High School is proud to present the December Teacher of the Month. Mrs. Giselle Rodriguez. She is in the math department. Mrs. Rodriguez is always willing to lend a helping hand with all of her students and, of course, at the campus. She does an excellent job working together with our math department, but also with special projects such as Saturday Scholars, where our most neediest students are being helped in math. Walking into any of her classrooms, you can definitely see the positive rapport that she has with her students. These are just some of the reasons why Mrs. Rodriguez was selected Teacher of the Month. Thank you.
Good evening. Blended Academy's Teacher of the Month is Robert Lopez. He teaches 8th grade math, is a Del Rio High School softball coach, BASA head sponsor, and helps with 8th grade reading interventions. Coach Lopez understands that in order for his students to succeed, he has to adjust to the needs and learning styles of his students, build relationships, and inspire them. He knows not all minds work the same. Therefore, he designs lessons with a differentiated method of learning, creating a class environment that is relevant and rigorous to each student. Coach Lopez consistently goes above and beyond in everything he does, always putting his students first. Thank you, Coach. It is truly an honor to have you on Team Blended.
Good evening. Today, we at ECHS are celebrating our one and only English 1 teacher, Ms. Sarah Martinez. Ms. Martinez loves teaching, and it is evident every day. Students mirror her passion and are always engaged in her well-planned lessons. Thank you, Ms. Martinez, for always remembering there is no box when you are breeding success. Congratulations.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Vice President Webb, members of the board. With me this evening is Leticia Bosques, freshman ELA teacher. Mrs. Bosques is a veteran of 20 years, and for the last 6 years, she has served as the ELL teacher for beginner and intermediate students at the freshman campus. Leticia works hard to make her classes engaging while trying to bridge the learning gaps that may exist with her students. She also invites upperclassmen to share their personal experiences as ELL students while offering advice on how to be successful in high school. Mrs. Bosques is a team player who always goes above and beyond the classroom, willing to assist not only myself, but Dr. Perez as well. We are truly blessed to have Mrs. Leticia Bosques at our campus. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and members of the board. It is an honor to present to you the Del Rio Middle School December Teacher of the Month, Mr. Victor Avares. Mr. Avares has been teaching speech and theater arts at Del Rio Middle School for the past 4 years and has led the fine arts as department head for the past 2 years. He ignites student creativity with his kind demeanor, highest expectation, and calming presence. When Mr. Avares is not working with his students, he dedicates his time to servicing all Del Rio Middle School students as a UIL coach. His infectious, positive attitude is apparent with every conversation that he is a part of. He is truly an exemplar teacher at Del Rio Middle School. Thank you, Mr. Avares.
A heartfelt congratulations to our December Teacher of the Month, Erin De Luna, a third-year ELA team member. She works diligently to meet the needs of her ELLs as well as her advanced students. She creates engaging lessons that involve every student, as well as helping her department with lessons, resources, and data. She is extremely energetic with a positive spirit and truly loves teaching her students, her coworkers, and her parents. We are very proud of you, Mrs. De Luna, and know you have an extremely bright future.
Good evening, Board President, Vice President Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. It is my pleasure to introduce our December Teacher of the Month for Cardwell, Mrs. Jennifer Juarez. Ms. Juarez is a fun and loving teacher who always puts the needs of her children first. She is highly spirited, passionate, and devoted to her children, parents, and school. She is kind and patient and a true team player, always eager to help and volunteer for any and all activities. Her lessons are engaging, her positive attitude is contagious, and her beautiful smile brightens every room she enters. We adore you, Ms. Juarez, and we're so proud of your accomplishments.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and members of the board. It is with our pleasure that we introduce Mrs. Cecilia Gonzalez Villarreal, who is our Teacher of the Month for Buena Vista. Mrs. Gonzalez is enthusiastic, has a positive disposition, and is a dedicated teacher. She's kind and has a loving spirit with her students and extends that caring to her colleagues in not only her grade level, but to the entire school. She introduces concepts in an engaging way, extending young first grade students' imaginations to new heights. Anytime the campus needs her to set up and change grade levels, subjects, or pick up committees, she's flexible and willing, thank you. She always keeps the school's interest in mind and encourages committees to think outside the box to help Buena Vista shine. She even had her entire family painting and helping with other projects to beautify our school. Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez Villarreal, for embracing the spirit of leading, learning, and leaving a legacy at Buena Vista.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight, Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary recognizes Mrs. Claudia Jimenez, kinder teacher, for the Teacher of the Month of December. Congratulations, Mrs. Jimenez. It takes special people to shape the hearts and minds of young children. Your students are always engaged in your lessons and on task. Your procedures and transitions are always clear and consistent, enhancing student learning while optimizing the opportunity for each child to get noticed and their individual needs met come natural to you. Thank you for all you do. You exemplify Coyote pride. We're so proud of you. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mrs. Webb, members of the board. It is with great pride that I present Mrs. Eglantina Peña as our Lonnie Green Teacher of the Month for December. Mrs. Peña always goes out of her way to encourage her students to take risks and to do their very best. Last month, Mrs. Peña went above and beyond simply encouraging her students to be present every day. You see, when the entire class received perfect attendance for the week, she played the pie in the face game with them. Each child took a turn to see if they could hit Mrs. Peña in the face with a pie. If you had visited her classroom that day, you would have seen Mrs. Peña decked out in a poncho and a shower cap, while her students took turn creating videos of the event. Congratulations, Ms. Peña, you are Lonnie Green Excellence.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mrs. Webb, members of the board. Our Teacher of the Month at Lamar Elementary for the month of December is Miss Billy Jo Cruz. Miss Cruz wears many hats at Lamar Elementary, from a kinder cluster leader to robotics coach to helping lead our Habitat Junior Rangers. She engages actively with our students and goes above and beyond, not just in her classroom, but for our campus as well. She's always ready to lend a helping hand and does so with a big smile. Miss Cruz is Lamar pride. Congratulations, Miss Cruz.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mrs. Webb, and members of the board. North Heights Elementary is proud to call Mrs. Leticia Amezcua our December Teacher of the Month. For 27 years, Mrs. Amezcua has been a chief. You heard right, all 27 years as a leader at North Heights Elementary. Mrs. Amezcua is our second grade cluster leader and facilitates ongoing supports for her grade level team. This year, what stands out the most is her willingness to share and model good instructional practices with her team of teachers in an effort to increase instructional practices at the early grades. Mrs. Amezcua serves as a leader of our Lighthouse team and serves students through UIL. We are forever grateful for her welcoming smile, her contagious laugh, and her love for learning. We are proud to call her an NHE chief.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mrs. Guanajuato Webb, and members of the board. Our Teacher of the Month for December is Miss Priscilla Scott. Ms. Scott has been helping our Falcons reach new heights, both in the classroom and in extracurricular activities. You will see her students doing fun, engaging, and enriching activities in the classroom anytime that you walk in. She brought that spirit of achievement and competition and what she calls her $1 million smile to our school with a heart that brought UIL oral reading and ready writing teams this fall to greatness. Her students are amazing, and she makes sure that they know this every day. Thank you for helping our Falcons fly with pride.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Rosa Arambide is a vital part of our second grade cluster. After teaching kindergarten for most of her extensive career, Ms. Arambide readily accepted the challenge to help mold the minds of RC's bilingual second graders. Her students are enthusiastic to come to school knowing that they will receive individualized attention. Lessons are set up for active engagement, and we can't forget her consistency and routines. Mrs. Arambide is Chavira pride. Thank you, Ms. Arambide.
Congratulations to all of the teachers for the month of December. You do our district proud. Again, congratulations for your dedication to education. And I want to thank all your family members and friends that are here to help you celebrate this recognition. Thank you, because without your support, I know they put many hours into their work. So thank you so much for being here to support the Teacher of the Month. Again, congratulations, teachers.
Hey, 27, eh?
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Lots of pies there. Good job, man. Good job.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Good job, man. Good job, man.
Next on our agenda is item D, school board recognition, presented by Dr. Rios.
I will just give them a few seconds to clear out. Web members of the board, to kick off the school board recognition festivities, I will first express a tremendous amount of gratitude on behalf of all of the students, the employees of the district, and certainly the administration for all the work and the vision that you provide. There's a lot of things that get accomplished, and I really wish that a lot of our constituents knew exactly how much that comes from the collaboration from the board and the thinking and the reviewing of packets. I don't think anyone will ever know unless they sit on the board really how much work it is. So on behalf of everyone, we thank you so much. I'm going to read a proclamation by Governor Abbott. State of Texas, Office of the Governor. In Texas, we place immense value in our youth. We protect them, guide them, and are always working towards a better tomorrow to secure our young people's bright and precious futures. We also understand the tremendous value of education in young people's lives and strive to ensure our state provides our youth with the opportunity to receive a rigorous and well-rounded education that will function as a foundation upon which their dreams will be built into reality. School boards play a vital role in our efforts to improve education in the Lone Star State as they work with parents, education professionals, and community members to create successful learning environments. While each state brings new challenges for Texas public schools and the students they serve, school board members, along with other dedicated school officials, have tackled these challenges as opportunities to discuss important issues, develop innovation solutions, and empower educators. At this time, I encourage all Texans to join in celebrating the work and success of our many school board members across Texas who play an important role in the education of Texas's youth. The children we nurture today will become the leaders of our state and nation in the future. Therefore, I, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, do hereby proclaim January 2019 to be School Board Recognition Month. Signed, Governor Abbott. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vice President Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board, I'm honored to introduce to you presentations by our campuses. This year, as in every year, we adopt the theme from the Texas Association of School Boards. This year's theme is Planting the Seeds of Success. You, each one of you, as school board members, begin in that process of planting for success of our students. I'd like to begin by introducing you Irene Cardwell Elementary.
Good evening, President Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. My name is Joanna Rodriguez, and I am Irene Cardwell, Policy Council President. On behalf of our parents, students, and staff at Cardwell, we would like to thank you for truly planting the seeds of success with our children. Cardwell Head Start and Pre-K sets the foundation for learning. Working together through Head Start Policy Council and Governing Board ensures success for creating lifelong learners. May this small token of our appreciation illustrate our sincere gratitude for your commitment and dedication to Irene Cardwell Head Start and Pre-K. I want to read you a little poem that represents where our students are at right now to where they're going. When I started Head Start Pre-K, I was very, very small. I have grown much bigger now. Can you see how tall? I'm learning to write my names, numbers, and ABCs. Thank you, SFDR CISD School Board, for always taking care of me.
Our next presenting campus is the Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary STEM Magnet School.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Rios. The students and staff of Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary were honored to have you all visit our campus last Friday. Dr. Rios shared an inspirational message about Mr. Barrera with us that planted a seed in our minds and hearts forever. We learned that all things are possible with hard work and the right support system. At our campus, everyone is family and we all support each other. We would like to invite you all back as a part of our family to add an everlasting positive message to our rock garden. Student Council is proud to present you with these inspirational message rocks. Please write your names on the back of them and bring them back to our campus to place in our collection. Thank you for all you do.
Our next presenting campus is Buena Vista Elementary.
Once upon a time, there was an old man who used to go to the ocean to do his writing. He had a habit of walking on the beach every morning before he began his work. Early one morning, he was walking along the shore after a big storm had passed and found the vast beach littered with starfish as far as the eye could see, stretching in both directions. Off in the distance, the old man noticed a small boy approaching. As the boy walked, he paused ever so often as he grew closer. The man could see that he was occasionally bending down to pick up an object and throw it into the sea. The boy came closer still, and the man called out, "Good morning. May I ask what you are doing?" The young boy paused, looked up, and replied, "Throwing starfish into the ocean. The tide has washed them up onto the beach, and they can't return to the sea by themselves." The youth replied, "When the sun gets high, they will die, unless I throw them back into the water." The old man replied, "But there must be tens of thousands of starfish on this beach. But I'm afraid you won't really be able to make much of a difference." The boy bent down, picked up yet another starfish, and threw it as far as he could into the ocean. Then he turned, smiled, and said, "It made a difference to that one." On behalf of Buena Vista, we would like to thank the entire school board for the difference you make in all of our lives.
Our next presenting campus is Dr. Fermín Calderón Elementary.
Good
afternoon, Board President, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. I, Sarah Medina, President of our Student Council at Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary, along with our principals, staff, and entire student body, would like to thank you for all your hard work and dedication. Because of each and every one of you, our school is truly a place of excellence where all of us have a chance to make a difference. All of your efforts are truly appreciated. Thank you for all you do.
Our next presenting campus is Ruben Chavita Elementary.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and members of the board. On behalf of Ruben Chavita Elementary, faculty, staff, and student leadership team, we present this gift as a token of appreciation for all that you do. At Chavita, both teachers and students have a growth mindset. We are making great strides toward achieving an overall A. None of this would be possible without your support, and so we thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary.
Good evening, school board members. We are Lonnie Green Student Council representatives. Tonight, we are here to thank you for your service to our community. In honor of School Board Appreciation Month, 8 books were dedicated to our school library in your name. Thank you for challenging us all to be better readers. You have definitely planted a seed of reading success at Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. Thank you and have a great evening.
Our next presenting campus is Lamar Elementary.
Board of Trustees. My name is Victoria Overfeld, and I am a fifth grader and student council member at Lamar Elementary. On behalf of the students of Lamar, I wanted to say thank you for your service to the students of not only our school, but also the students of the entire district. Thank you for giving up your free time to attend meetings, trainings, and advocate for public education. Thank you for being the voice for those who have no voice. Thank you for having the courage to step into the spotlight and make the tough decisions. Thank you for being part of the leadership for our district. Thank you for doing all these different things with no pay, time away from family, and little recognition. Simply put, we thank you. The tokens of appreciation were placed on your desk.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is from Garfield Elementary.
Good evening. My name is Alina Hinojosa.
And I'm Joel Mejia.
On behalf of Garfield Elementary, we'd like to thank all the school board members for everything you have done for all the students.
You help us plant seeds of knowledge. You water them daily with faith. You help us grow those seeds into thoughts. You capture us emotionally. You help us create an attitude that helps us build our character. This is needed to build the aptitude that leads us to be successful students.
Thank you again for all you've done for the students at our campus and across the district. Without you, we wouldn't have the education we have today.
Our next presentation is from North Heights Elementary.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and school board members. My name is Caitlin Ramon, Student Council President at North Heights Elementary. We thank you for your commitment to our success. Tonight, we honor you with a gift basket that includes a variety of snacks, but I want to talk about the popcorn kernel. Did you know that kernels don't pop if the conditions for their growth are not right? Your goal for students is to watch us grow and blossom into the future. Just like a kernel, students need the right conditions. Approaches for growth cannot be too hard and need frequent checks. As a school board, you give that in the right amount and bring out the best for our future. Our success begins with your support. Thank you for helping us grow.
job reading.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is from San Felipe Memorial Middle School.
Good evening. My name is Mia Dose Regalindo, and I am the Student Council President of San Felipe Memorial Middle School. With me today are my fellow officers, Abram Ortiz, Vice President, Addie Weston, Secretary, Matthew Garza, Treasurer, and Zachary Mercado, Historian. And we would like to thank each and every one of you for your service and dedication to our school district. We understand your role is important and at times can be very stressful. On behalf of the Student Council, faculty, and student body, we want you to know how much we appreciate all you do. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. Thank you.
Next, we welcome Del Rio Middle School.
Good evening, Ms. Webb, Dr. Rios, and school board trustees. My name is Nayeli Cordova, and I am Del Rio Middle School's Student Council President. And I have been given the esteemed honor of thanking you on behalf of our administration, staff, and most importantly, student body. Khalil Gibran once stated, "Education sows not seeds in you, but makes your seeds grow." Because of your never-ending support, all of your efforts, and your diligence towards student success, the students of our district are able to grow in glorious splendor. Thank you for doing all you do to assure our growth and success. They say from little seeds grow the mightiest trees, and SFDR CISD is growing the mightiest trees that out there. Thank you.
Very nice.
Nice shirt. Thank you.
Our next presenting campus is Del Rio Freshman School.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and members of the board. My name is Francisco Flores, and I am president of the freshman class. Tonight, please allow my fellow class officers and I to present to you a flower pot filled with green as a symbol of our appreciation for helping us bloom into the future leaders of our community.
Good evening. My name is Roberto Lopez, and I am a freshman ambassador of Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. With this gift, we recognize that your job as a school board member is tough. The hours are long, and the few thank yous are far between. Too often we forget about the personal sacrifices school board members make to ensure our success. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ashwa Portillo, and I am a member of the Freshman Sapphires dance team. Let us join with others from our district to salute you for providing vision and accepting responsibility of today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. From all of us at Del Rio Freshman School, thank you for planting seeds of success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We now welcome Early College High School.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and members of the board. We are Early College High School. Tonight we are here to celebrate you, and it is my honor to say thank you for planting the seed of this program in our community. We stand before you to announce that we, the inaugural class of Early College High School, are about to finish what you started 4 years ago. We proudly ask you to save the date, Friday, May 17th, 2019, at 7:00 p.m. to attend our graduation in Uvalde, as more than 50% of our class will receive an Associates of Arts in General Studies from Southwest Texas Junior College. We will meet this goal. Thank you. We will meet this goal 2 weeks before our high school graduation of May 31st, 2019. I am Aaron Escoto, and I've been accepted into the Texas A&M University and the University of Texas at Austin.
I am Noreli Faz, and I have been accepted into Texas A&M and Texas Tech.
I am Isamar Rodriguez, and I've been accepted into Texas A&M and the University of North Austin. North Texas, I'm so sorry.
Hi, my name is Sam Pippin, and I have been accepted to the University of Texas at Austin and A&M in College Station.
Our next presenting campus is Blended Academy.
Good evening, Dr. Rios and Board of Trustees. We, the students of Blended Academy, want to thank each and every one of you for the support you have shown us and educational needs. Thank you for your continuous efforts in providing a safe and comfortable environment where we are able to put forth our best efforts in order to succeed. A small token of appreciation, we have a shirt with our school name, capital ED, representing the education opportunity we have at Blended, a small flower pot for you to plant your own seeds of success. Planting a seed is a step, but watering is its destiny, because at Blended Academy, teachers and staff plant many seeds to inspire our potential and water us with motivation to do our best. Thank you again for your commitment in making our education a priority.
Next, I'm honored to introduce Del Rio High School.
Good evening, members of the school board and Dr. Rios. It is a privilege to be here today with my fellow Del Rio High School classmates to thank you all for your unfailing commitment to the success of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD students. The gift we present to you today consists of the flowers representing the products of the seeds you've planted. We will share with you how our decision, each student to graduate with an endorsement, has impacted our educational career path. In the last 4 years, we have concentrated on obtaining specific classes, including dual credit and AP classes, to complete our endorsement. With this, you have empowered us to be bold enough to use our voice, brave enough to listen with our heart, and strong enough to speak, to see our life the way we always wanted and imagined. In other words, all the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Samuel Sunderland. I am the Student Council President, and I will graduate with an endorsement in business. I have 33 college hours and 6 AP classes. In the fall, I will attend the University of North Texas in Denton and majoring in business. Thank you.
All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Adriana Vasquez. I am the president of FCCLA Culinary Arts Chapter. I will graduate with an endorsement in culinary arts. In the fall, I will be attending Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts and majoring in culinary arts and pastry arts. Thank you.
All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Sloan Taylor. I am the president of the Valverde County 4-H Club. I will graduate with an endorsement in business, 30 college hours, 6 AP classes, and in the fall, I will be attending Texas Tech University and majoring in agricultural economics. Thank you.
All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Lara Garanzwai. I am the president of National Technical Honor Society. I will graduate with an endorsement in finance, business, and STEM, 49 college hours, and 5 AP classes. In the fall, I will be attending the University of Texas at Austin and majoring in public relations. Thank you.
All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Mariana Rendon. I am the president of the Health Science Club and current valedictorian. I will graduate with an endorsement in health science, 36 college hours, and 7 AP classes. In the fall, I will be attending the University of Monterrey and majoring in neuroscience. Thank you.
All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Audrey Robbie, and I am the president of the National Honor Society. I will graduate with an endorsement in multidisciplinary studies, 24 college hours, and 7 AP classes. In the fall, I will be attending the University of Texas at Austin and majoring in exercise science. Hook 'em.
All of the flowers are all the tomorrows are seeds of today. My name is Presley Looney. I am the president of Future Business Leaders of America. I will graduate with an endorsement in business, 33 college hours, and 6 AP classes. In the fall, I will be attending Texas Tech University and majoring in finance. Thank you.
All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. My name is Sherilyn Moore. I'm captain of dance company. I'll graduate with an endorsement in health science, 31 college hours, and 5 AP classes. In the fall, I'll be attending Texas A&M University at College Station and majoring in biology. Thank you.
Our final presentation is from the Texas State Teachers Association. I'm honored to introduce Billy Jo Cruz.
Good evening, Madam Vice President, Dr. Rios, and board members. On behalf of the TSTA organization, I would like to thank you for all your time and commitment to our students, teachers, and our district. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to thank each and every campus and all the students that came up here to recognize us as the school board. But the reason we're here is because of you. You are the ones that inspire us to be here for each and every one of you, because your success is what's most important to us. So thank you, students. Thank you, each and every one of you. Those of you that already have a pathway and are getting ready to go to college, kudos to you. Congratulations on everything and all your successes. We are here for you. Thank you. At this time, having no citizens to be heard, we will move on to item 8 of our agenda with reports, beginning with San Felipe Del Rio CISD school calendar options and process for 2019-2020 school year, presenting Aide Garcia.
Good evening again, Vice President Guanajuato Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Tonight, we're here to present the 2019-2020 school district calendar process. And it's not showing. What should we know? If I can have just 1 minute for some technical difficulties here. On December 4th, 2018, the District Planning and Decision-Making Committee met to discuss the calendar for the 2019-2020 calendar. Then on the 5th and the 14th, we sent some emails to some representatives that did not attend so that they can have the information so that they would be able to disseminate to their campus. On January 9th, the committee met again to discuss all the options and recommendations that all the campuses sent. On January 11th, we sent the calendar options to the committee, the principals. We also shared the information with the board on January 13th, and we also sent the options through to the cabinet and the principals as well. So tonight, we want to discuss the process with the board, and then also at this time, if they have any recommendations, because on January the 28th, we'll go ahead and, I'm sorry, this thing's on the way. There. On January the 28th, we're gonna conduct an online poll for the selection of the 1920 calendar option, and then on February 18th, the administration will recommend the 1920 calendar option at the February regular board meeting. There were some parameters that we discussed during the meeting, and this involved that the teachers must work 187 days. There must be 75,600 minutes of instruction. That's the minimum. We can also use 2,100 minutes of those instructional time for waiver days for any professional development. We wanted to incorporate some bad weather days into the calendar. We also, most of the teachers always recommend that they want to end the first semester prior to the winter break, so that was also discussed. We wanted to incorporate 3 work days and a minimum of 5 staff development days. Also honor Memorial Day as to that is required by law, and allow 4 RTI planning and training days. These RTI data planning days are so that teachers can meet with their administrators to disaggregate data from benchmarks or other summatives, and also for the non-classroom teachers so that we can provide training to them instead of pulling them from the classroom during the school year. As you can see in this slide, the committee came up with 4 options. Option 1 was a mirror of the 18-19 calendar. Option 2 had 1 less instructional day. It increased 5 minutes to the instructional day for elementary only, since secondary has more than 75,600 minutes embedded. Also, it honors Veterans Holiday for teachers, and it has 1 additional RTI data planning day. Option 3, 1 less instructional day, and it only allows for 1 bad weather day. So if there would be any other bad weather days, we would have to make them up at the end of the school year. It also allows for Veterans Holiday for teacher. It has 1 additional RTI planning day. The second 6 weeks is more balanced than the one that we had this year. And then the only thing is not all 6 weeks end on a Friday. The 4th option has 2 less instructional days, also 1 bad weather day, increased 5 minutes for elementary, Veterans Holiday as a holiday for teachers, additional RTI data planning day, not all 6 weeks and on a Friday. The teacher last working day would be May the 29th. A lot of the committee requested that. And then also additional, it would have 1 additional work day. So in your board packet, we included the 4 options. This is the option 1, option 2, which we summarized in the slide that we presented earlier, option 3, and then option 4. This is a list of the representatives from the District Planning and Decision-Making Committee. And I'll leave that slide up there. Are there any questions or any recommendations from the board before we conduct the online poll?
Any questions from the board?
Mr.
Smith?
Once you get the final results, we'll get to see the actual results of your.
Yes, sir. Last year, what we did, we embedded in the PowerPoint the actual data from the results.
Okay, that's good.
Anyone else? Mr. Overfelt?
Just a random question as it relates to the minutes. How is it that some of the smaller districts are able to go 4 days a week versus the 5 there? Is it like a district of innovation thing for the smaller districts, or just because of population size, that's how they get around the 75,000 minutes? I'm just curious.
As long as you meet the required minutes, you can extend the instructional day. You can start earlier, end a little later, not have RTI days, change the contract for teachers. You don't have to be a district of innovation. You just meet the minute requirements and you can come up with a whole lot of options. The 4-day has been discussed amongst a lot of groups. However, right now there isn't immediate belief that it's good for instruction. As the years go on, we'll have more data to reflect, and maybe that's a conversation we can engage in then.
I was just curious. Thank you.
I just have one question on between option 2 and option 3. When we look at August 9 and August 16th, those dates are reversed in both calendars. Was there a reason for that, or between RTI and the workday?
No, and those we can switch them. It's up, like, for example, some of the committee members were saying, because this year when we came back in January the 7th, it was a work day. And then the 8th was an RTI planning day.
Right.
And some of the committee members were saying that they would have liked to switch them because they would like to first do their meetings, the RTI meetings, and like that they can get all the information, and then on their work day, they could go ahead and work on preparing everything. But those, they could, up to the principal, if they want to switch them, they can. We're just listing them as we have to have either one of those.
And then on option 4, we start a workday on the 8th, so that's just an extra workday for the teachers to have something ready in their classrooms, I'm assuming?
Well, we have to have 187 days, so we had to fit in that day somewhere, and that's where it fell.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions from the board? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, on the reports, we have item 8B, Attendance and Discipline Report by Dr. Jorge Garza.
Yeah, Madam Chair, every meeting we ask the board, they want us to review any part of the report or make the entire presentation. I know that Dr. Garza is excited because the attendance has improved. So we're ready to make the report, or we can just answer questions, whatever the wishes are.
What are the wishes of the board? Just want to answer questions, or you want to look at the report?
Answer questions.
If there's any questions.
Are there any questions?
Dr. Garza is coming to the podium. Okay,
Good evening,
questions from the
Mrs.
board?
Good evening, Mrs. Webb, members of the board. Do you all have any questions?
Mr. Contreras?
Yes. Now, my only question is, are we actually reporting the incidents as for teachers? And are they coming up to the principals, or are we just saying, you know what, we're not going to report anything because we don't want to do the extra paperwork? That's my question to you as far as going into the campuses. The validity of those reports that we're actually doing. I mean, can we trust that they're, it just seems it doesn't. Yes, sir.
We've had, Mr. Contreras, we've had this discussion every year, and we've worked with principals as far as ensuring that they enter every discipline report that is handed to them. And we know that from time to time, a principal may fall behind a day or two in inputting data, particularly at the elementary because they have fewer principals. But I trust that the principals know their duty and that each and every one of them knows the expectation and has lived up to it.
Okay.
Any other question for Dr. Garza? Go ahead, sir.
I just want to make sure that I thank the principals and the staff for doing their job and making sure that we have the attendance that we had this past 6 weeks. Even now, in this 6 weeks, we're already, almost all the schools are in the black. Actually, all the schools are in the black for the 6 weeks, and only 2 schools are down by few points for the year to date, up to Friday. So I want to thank the principals and their staff for doing their job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, principals. Again, thank you, principals, for encouraging students to come to school and working with your families and parents. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Garza. Next on the reports, we have 8C, Foursquare presentation by Aida Gomez.
Good evening, Vice President Guanajuato Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. During one of the campus presentations in the fall, the principals were referring to the Foursquare writing. It's a writing process, and at that time, there were a few questions about what the Foursquare writing was. During one of the December board communiques, Dr. Rios did send this PowerPoint that we're about to share, and today I will go over it in case you do have any questions or concerns. Again, it is called Foursquare writing, and the question is, what is Foursquare writing? Foursquare writing is a method of teaching basic writing skills. When this first started, it started with our beginner and intermediate bilingual students. It was a very basic process that has now transferred over to most of our writing classes. It is applicable across all grade levels and curriculum areas. And the good part is that it can be used with any type of writing that we do in the district, whether it be narrative, descriptive, expository, or persuasive. Some of the benefits. First off, it provides a simple graphic organizer, which you'll be able to see in just a moment. The template. It makes the student's writing more focused. It helps the student organize their ideas. It helps the students elaborate by adding details. It emphasizes transitions. It scaffolds the writing process for student success. And it supports language development. To make the strategy successful, all of the students must do a few things. First off, we need to keep it simple. We need to teach a square on its own. One square, and then we move to the next. We need to provide multiple opportunities for practice with each new step of the Foursquare. In other words, repetition is what's going to make it more beneficial and the students more successful. And we do not move on to another step of the Foursquare until the students have mastered the current step that they're in. We always start, you'll see on the template, it's 4 squares. That's where it gets its name. In the center, there'll always be the theme. What is it that we're talking about? To give you this example, I will never forget my 6th birthday. And that's what the students are going to write about. They start first by having a topic sentence in each one of the squares with 3 details under it. Very simple. My grandmother threw me a surprise party. And then we asked the students, well, what were 3 details about that? She had my favorite cake, tons of presents, and exciting games. Those are not written in complete sentences. So the topic sentence is there with 3 details. You go to the next square. My parents gave me a wonderful gift. Golden retriever, named Goldie, best friend. We go to the next square. My friends and I went to the zoo. This is still all part of that 6th birthday. Elephant ride, walked for miles, and rode a train. It was the best birthday ever. So that's where the students start. They had that simple, I will never forget my 6th birthday, why is it? My grandmother threw me a surprise party, my parents gave me a wonderful gift, my friends and I went to the zoo, and then 3 details about each one. At this point, they take their lined paper and they write it. I will never forget my 6th birthday. My grandmother threw me a surprise party. This is where you make it into a complete sentence. She baked my favorite chocolate fudge cake. I got tons of presents. We had such fun playing exciting games. My parents gave me a wonderful gift. They surprised me with a golden retriever puppy. I named her Goldie. She is my best friend today. My friends and I went to the zoo. We rode the elephants. The zoo was so large, we walked for miles. Finally, we gave up and rode the train. It was the best birthday ever. So you'll see that they just took the 4 squares, made them into complete sentences, and wrote 1 paragraph. But it doesn't end there. So now you go back to the 4 square, and you have to add transitional words. Early in the day, after lunch, later, indeed. So they're taught in transitional words so that now they can take that 1 paragraph with so many sentences and break it up into 4 paragraphs with better thoughts and a transition. Now it looks like this. I will never forget my 6th birthday. Early in the day, and it's going to be the same paragraph. My grandmother threw me a surprise party. She baked my favorite chocolate fudge cake. I got tons of presents, and we had such fun playing exciting games. Then they transition into after lunch. So they've already done the work, and now it's a process of just adding the transitional words. Again, my parents gave me a wonderful gift. They surprised me with a golden retriever puppy. I named her Goldie. She is my best friend. Later, my friends and I went to the zoo. We rode the elephants. The zoo was so large, we walked for miles, and finally we gave up and rode the train. Indeed, it was the best birthday ever. So that's Foursquare. It's just a process that allows the students to organize their thoughts. They do not have to start by writing complete sentences. They actually choose a topic sentence for each paragraph and then just some bulleted ideas. That allows them later to complete the sentences. Are there any questions?
Questions from the board? No questions? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
There's no question.
She's making the next presentation.
Next item on our agenda is staffing for special education. Aida Gomez.
Thank you again, Vice President Guanajuato Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The presentation tonight was sent via a board communique. It is about 46 slides long. That is what was sent to you in its entirety. It did include all staff, names, all positions, funding, cost, and ratios of student populations. Tonight, we will just be going over the summary slides. If you have any questions, however, I do have the entire presentation that I can answer. First of all, there's some very important information. When we identify a student in our special ed program, they receive a certain type of service. They're either mainstreamed in a general classroom, meaning that the student stays with their teacher, their math or reading teacher, and they receive support from the special ed teacher in that classroom. That's a code 40. A 41 and a 42 are both resource time, meaning that when the ARD committee gets together, they decide that a student has to be pulled out from math or reading, go to the resource room with the special ed teacher for a certain amount of time. If it's up to 21% of the instructional time, they do code it as a 41. If it's over 21%, below 50%, they do code it as a 42. You'll also see a couple of other codes. A 43 is for our self-contained students. Those are for students who need more than 50%, but yet less than 60% time pulled out of the classroom. And then, of course, we have code 44, which are self-contained again, and they need more than 60% of their time with a special ed teacher. Our early childhood program also has a code 45, all to its own, that services our 3 to 5-year-olds. There are several budgets that revolve around with our special ed department. We do have a code 199 that you'll sometimes see, and that's for general funds. A code 173 is our state special ed fund. Code 184 is our Medicaid SHARS. Code 224 is our IDEA B formula, and code 225 is IDEA B formula for preschool. The district elementary summary is as follows. You'll see that the campuses are listed on the left, and they all have one professional special ed teacher. You'll see the ones down the left. You'll see the number of students that each campus services. This does not include speech. This is strictly our special ed students that are identified as the code 40, 41, or 42. You'll see the paraprofessionals, and at this time, all the campuses have 2. Then you'll see some ratios of the students serviced. The way it works in elementary, if there are 32 students at Buena Vista, the special ed teacher, that one professional, is responsible for all 32. With the support of the 2 aides, that's why you see a ratio of 16:1, she's able to service whether it's in resource or whether it's inclusion and they go to the classrooms. That is the information that's on this slide. If you keep going towards the right, you'll see critical needs assessments. Again, we have situations when a student needs a person to be with them. They are now called critical needs assistants, and all of those are on a 1-to-1 ratio if we do use one. In our district, we do not have any in elementary that would service more than one student. If the art calls for it, they are serviced on a 1-to-1 ratio. Are there any questions on this slide? I can always come back to it.
Any questions? No, ma'am.
I'm sorry. No? Okay. The next one is, the next 2 slides actually are the units in our district. We have different types of units. We have life skills units, behavior units. Those are K-12. And you'll see on the left that we have one at Irene Cardwell. Professional staff is 1, and they do have a life skills PPCD. They service 15 students with 3 paraprofessionals, 5-to-1 ratio. Dr. Fermin Calderon has 1 professional staff. This is one of our severe profound life skill units. They do have 9 students, 3 paraprofessionals to a 3-to-1 ratio. They also have, in this case, a licensed vocational nurse and 4 CNAs. Garfield has 4 units. They have a life skills unit, an autism unit, and 2 behavior units. This particular campus services 46 students in those 4 units, and you'll see 21-to-1 in life skills, that's the ratio, 6-to-1 in autism, 8-to-1 in behavior, and 11-to-1 in the second behavior. So everything's broken up. Our paraprofessionals, we do have 5 working at Garfield, 2 in the life skills, 1 in the autism, and 2 in the behavior skills. And then you'll see the ratios. 10-to-1 in life skills, this is for the aides, 6-to-1 in the autism, 6-to-1, and 11-to-1 in the behavior skills. We also have 4 CNAs, 2 in the life skills with the autism and 1 in the behavior. And we have the CNA ratios are 1-to-1 in life skills, 6-to-1 in autism, 8-to-1 in behavior, and 11-to-1 in the second behavior. At North Heights Elementary, we do have a life skills unit. We service 21 students. That teacher has a ratio of 21-to-1. There are 2 paraprofessionals that do assist her for a ratio of 11-to-1. We have 2 CNAs, ratio of 11-to-1. So those are the 4 on this slide. I'm going to continue on with secondary. We have Del Rio Middle School, where you'll see 5 units, 2 life skills, 1 autism, and 2 behavior. The ratios are there. There's 47 students, 10-to-1 in the life skills, 12-to-1 in the second life skills, 3-to-1 in the autism, 11-to-1 in the behavior, and 11-to-1 in the second behavior. They do have 9 paraprofessionals that assist in life skills, autism, and the behavior units. And they also have 3 CNAs that assist in life skills and behavior. We move on to Del Rio Freshmen. They have 2 life skills units there. We have 16 students at Del Rio Freshmen for an 8-to-1 life skills ratio. We also have 2 CNAs that assist in those units. At Del Rio High School, we have 3 units. We have 2 life skills and 1 behavior skills. We service 28 students in these units. The ratios are 9-to-1 in life skills and 10-to-1 in the second life skills, 9-to-1 in the behavior skills. We do have 4 paraprofessionals that assist and 1 CNA. The CNA there works on a 1-to-1 basis. So those are all the units, which would be kinder through 12. Finally, we have our summary of the secondary.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Rios.
I just wanted to make a point. Can you start with the first summary?
Yes, sir.
For the just, not the elementary, just the units?
Yes, sir.
So we have the K-12 district elementary, then the next one? Later on in the meeting, we are going to recommend a position to help the special education department oversee the district's units, all of them. So all of the units that are mentioned in this presentation, that's what that position will be involved in, assisting with the supervision. As special education has moved along over the years, the number of students identified for units has increased dramatically, and we need some help in making sure that everybody gets the support they need, the teachers. It's just a whole lot. So that position deals specifically with the units that she's reviewed. So when we get to that point, we can come back and discuss that if we need to, but it's just a whole lot.
And again, the student service at each of the units is listed in the second column on the slides. This one we have 15, 9, 46, 21. And then when we get onto secondary, you see 47, 18, 28. Those are not the special ed students in the classrooms. These are only the ones in the units.
Can you go back one slide?
Of course.
So what, from my curiosity, what drives the ratio there from Garfield 46 versus Calderon 9? That's that ratio number seems to float around pretty dramatically, and then
It's the location of the unit. So at Garfield, we have one profound skills unit with 9 students. These are children with feeding tubes. We need special equipment, so there's 9 severe students at that one. However, at Garfield, you'll see we have 4 units. A life skills unit, students who are not in the general population, but we teach them life skills to live, because as they grow, but they also have 2 behavior skills at Garfield units. 2 separate ones, a kinder through 2nd unit and a 3rd through 5th unit for behavior, and they also have the autism unit.
okay. So I think what you're saying is that you move kids from one school to the next based on the expertise that campus may be able to administer, or am I missing that?
No, sir. For each student that's identified, there's an ARD. And the RD, after all the studies, determines the need of the child. A child that goes to the Calderon severe, profound life skills will stay there till they graduate, or until the law says that we must continue to serve them to the age of 21. Severe, the feeding tube, et cetera, that student will stay there. On the behavior units for elementary, they're at Garfield, so that's where they go. But a student who may not be as profound, you might find that student at North Heights. So the ARC committee determines the need of the child, and based on the need of the child, that's where the student is going to be placed for the duration of that age group. And then the services, whether they have a CNA or just serviced by the staff, depends on what the ARD committee recommends. And it's different. You can have students at different units having different kinds of services, because there is a whole range. Every student is different, and some require one-to-one, and some don't require one-to-one, but they still need to be in that behavior unit. So it's all dependent on what the RD decides.
Excuse me, Ms. Gonzalez?
No, I'm just asking, because we come up with ARD and all this, explain what ARD is in case we don't know. And then the other one is CNA, I think. Just
The ARD is the Admission Review and Dismissal Committee that studies the needs of every child. And It meets every year on every individual child to determine whether the student's making progress, whether they have additional needs, or we can reduce the needs. Sometimes you'll see a student go from resource to inclusion, depending on their progress. You'll seldom see students go from severe life skills or profound life skills out of it. That, unfortunately, is the needs are consistent. The CNA is the critical needs aid, and that is assigned only by the ARD. So a parent can't step up and say, I want my child to have an individual aid, or a teacher can't say, that child needs an individual aid. It's the decision of a combined committee.
Anyone else? Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Our last summary is our secondary summary. You'll see here that we have 4 campuses at Del Rio Middle School. We do have 5 units, 2 life skills, 1 autism, and 2 behavior skills. Again, those are the ratios we're talking about, where they service 47 students, and they're broken up into 10-to-1 for the life skills, 12-to-1 for the second life skills. It's the same information that was shared a moment ago. At Del Rio Freshman, we have the 2 life skills units, and with 16 students and 2 CNAs. And at Del Rio High School, we have the 3 units. We have 2 life skills, and we have a behavior skills at the high school. This is what Dr. Rios was referring to, Mr. Smith. Once they move from a certain age group out of middle school, they would end up transferring or transitioning into a unit more age appropriate. We have 28 students currently at the high school, 9-to-1 in the first life skills unit with a 10-to-1 ratio in the second, and a 9-to-1 in the behavior skills. We also have a CNA to assist in the life skills unit, and 4 paraprofessionals that assist those teachers. That is a summary of elementary, the kinder through 12 units, and the secondary. That's the staffing, the ratios, the students serviced, any type of additional support such as a CNA or LVN, the different codes, the services that the students receive, and the funding codes. Any questions?
Any questions? No?
I don't have any questions. I think just thank you for the clarity, because I know
Yes.
this is a complicated subject for us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Item E is listed as Mr. Henge, but Mr. Henge is going to present item F, so we've asked Sandra to present item E.
Okay. So next on the agenda, we have item E, Operations Workshop Update. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, Vice President Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Tonight I'm going to give you a very brief report on the Operations Committee. It is a brief update on what we have done with the committee over the past couple of months. The goals of the committee. We are reviewing considerations and requests for future district projects. This includes reviewing the 2016 bond election recommendations as well as recommendations from the Teachers Forum. We will review current sustainability plans, which include facilities and technology. We'll review project expenses, looking at what is projected in terms of cost versus what the actual cost will be. And then we'll look into prioritization of these projects into plans, a 1 to 3 year plan, a 3 to 5 year plan, and then a 5 to 10 year plan. Here's what we've done so far. We've taken a look at some of the proposed considerations from as I mentioned before, looking at the 2016 recommendations and the teacher forum recommendations, and we placed them into plans. Looking at the 1 to 3 year plan, we've included Del Rio High School, the cafeteria expansion, resurfacing the ROTC marching pad, renovation of the 800 and 900 wing at Del Rio High School, converting the 1000 wing at Del Rio High School into a fine arts area, providing new furniture for the 200 and 400 wing at Del Rio High School. We also want to include the Del Rio Freshman School restroom renovations, renovating 3 special education classrooms at that campus. At Ruben Chavita, including restroom renovations and providing an ADA walkway from the library to the playground. At North Heights, we're looking into restroom renovations and providing for an ADA accessible playground. At Buena Vista, we're considering also a restroom renovation. In the 1 to 3 year plan continued, we're all looking at Calderon, looking at the nurses station redesign. At Del Rio Middle School, looking at the field turf. And at Blended Academy, looking at improvements to the restrooms. In the 3 to 5 year plan, we've considered reviewing adding Health Careers High School. We have a P-TECH, which is a Pathways in Technology Early College High School, which begins the next school year, 2019-2020 implementation. Looking into that possibility, Calderon, the restroom renovations at that campus, and in the 5 to 10 year plan, considering a new elementary school, a replacement campus for Cardwell Elementary, and renovation of the Cody Wardlaw Gym. Next, you'll see a meeting schedule. We met in September. We met again in December. And in our next meeting, which is coming up in February, we are going to look at these next steps. So this kind of gives you an idea. We have some future meetings coming up, but our next steps in February are to review those project expenses. When we looked at some of those recommendations, what are the projected costs versus what the actual cost is going to be for those projects? And then going back and reprioritizing those projects in the 1 to 3 year plan, the 3 to 5 year plan, and in the 5 to 10 year plan.
Madam Chair.
Dr. Rios?
The purpose and the work that the committee did was just to try to consolidate projects from those lists that we had identified in the bond project and what the teachers had identified through our communication council, and then just present to the committee members a list and what can we be done within the 1 to 3 year plan. But there really is some prioritization that has to happen in the coming months, and the committee members, Mr. Smith is a committee member, Mr. Contreras is a committee member, and the third member is Amy.
Ms. Haynes.
Ms. Haynes. So they're the ones that are going to help us prioritize that, and they've been at the meeting, so I don't know if they have any insight that they want to share with y'all or questions that they may have of us.
Dr. Rios, if anything, I mean, this is, of course, I like this. However, I would want to see how fast we can move on to be able to incorporate into the yearly budget, every budget from the next. For example, if we're going to tackle anything from the 1 to 3 year plan, then tackle it in this year budget. Let's see what we can do with this budget moving on to next year and so forth. You know, I know at the city we kind of had like the capital improvement plan, and that's something I would want to look at so we can look at our budget and and make some priorities. Anything that was identified in the critical needs as far as the 2016 bond would be coming up first, because obviously there were critical needs back then, so if they were bad back then, they were worse even now. So tackle those as soon as possible and into next year's budget. But I know that me for myself, you know, I would like another school or two schools because, you know, one of our new schools, other than the Roberto Bobby Barrera, it's 29 years old. You know, but that's moving on for the next few years.
Anyone else? Mr. Smith?
Yeah, at the end of the day, what, I think if you look back over the past several years, what the district has done, you know, this is gonna help that sustainability piece, right? I mean, what's been accomplished inside the district in many aspects in any campus that you look at, there's an improvement to the atmosphere inside the campuses. What we've got going at the high school right now is phenomenal, right? We're gonna look at that, when is that complete? 18 months from now in rough math? And the atmosphere there for our kids is gonna be light years above where it was. And now, taking this and putting that into a plan and sustain that, it's gonna be phenomenal. Anyway, I'm excited about the whole thing. It's light years away from where we were at 3 years ago. So congratulations to putting that together, and I'll do my best to keep it rolling.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Haynes?
Likewise, I think that if we just stay on track, this plan, it'll help us stay on track. I think we've got some good things coming up, like Mr. Smith said, so I'm pretty excited about it too, and just being part of this committee, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Mr. Smith, Mr. Contreras, and Ms. Hernandez.
So the next step is that we will provide, we're almost done with the cost estimates of these projects, and we'll share with the committee in advance monies that are available right now within our budget and the cost of those projects, so then the committee can direct us as to what we want to get done this summer, what we want to get done next year, and then begin to, like Mr. Contreras said, be consistent in how we budget for those items moving forward.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Of course, you know, now that we presented this, you're going to get lobbied from different campuses. Hey, us first, us first.
Next on the agenda, we have facilities and construction update by Les Henge.
It's one of the wall that gets loose, Mr. Henge.
That was it.
Be a great time for a break.
I think this would be a perfect time to take a break if the board is in agreement. Maybe 10 minutes. Okay, at this time we will go into break at 7:27. Okay, it is now 7:37 and we're back on item 8F with facilities and construction update. Mr. Henge.
Good evening, Vice President Webb, Dr. Rios, members of the board. For our facilities and construction report for this month, we'll be looking at the maintenance department, work that was conducted out at Del Rio Middle School redesign, the status on the portable buildings, the support ticket summary for the maintenance department, and then we'll look at the support ticket summary for technology as well as transportation, and then moving into new construction to discuss progress at the Roberto Bobby Barrera STEM Magnet Elementary, Del Rio High School. And at the high school, we'll be looking specifically at the restroom renovations, 2 and 400 wing renovations, and chill tower replacement. And then we'll look briefly at the energy savings project, also known as ESCO, to get a report on where they're at with the lighting, mechanical project, water conservation, and the HVAC automation project. So the Del Rio Middle School redesign has been completed on the construction side. We do have a couple pieces of furniture that are en route, but the construction itself has been completed. So we'll be moving counselors this week and then moving the APs over to the new area. I included a few pictures here. The one in the upper left-hand corner shows the windows that were installed, as well as we ended up putting 2 offices in there with the secretary. That'll be the permanent location for the APs. And then the photo in the lower kind of center part is the principal's meeting room, which sits off to the side of principal's office as well as his secretary out front. And then on the right-hand side, we have another photo. The one on the left is actually the principal's office, and then the one on the far right is the future registrar office that'll be getting filled here in the near future. Surplus portable buildings, we do still have the 5 at the warehouse and 1 at Cardwell that we're waiting on getting picked up. I did get confirmation on Friday that all of the asbestos paperwork has been filed with the state. It's been approved. The trucking company will be coming out this week to start moving them. They actually had someone on site on Friday, and they started moving their trailer in, I think, late this weekend. So we will see those remaining 6 portables leaving, and then that project will be completed. Maintenance department ticket summary. We're now able to have the 30, 60, and 90-day-old identified down at the bottom. Just a quick recap. The first graph there shows the created work orders from August 13th through January 1. The next one over is created work orders, August 13th through January 1st. And then the final one is open work orders, August 13th through January 1st. And they are color coded based on the trade. 30-day-old tickets, right now we're reporting in at 197 tickets, 60-day-old 112, 90-day-old 211. Some of that is the result of staffing changes. We've had some retirees recently and some vacancies that we're in the process of filling. The next report looks at the technology department's ticket summary. Again, we kept the same format. The 30-day-old tickets in that department are 111, 60-day-old tickets 21, 90-day tickets 28. And one thing to notice here in that last column, it shows that 63% being connectivity. These reports are generated based on the initial call that we received. So if someone's having problems connecting to wireless, it may come in as a connectivity call. Once it gets assigned to the technician, they go out and look at the issue. It could be spyware on the machine that's causing it to not connect, so then it gets recategorized at that point. So again, we're trying to get as transparent and detailed as possible on these. The technology one seems a little bit trickier than the other ones. The Transportation Department currently has no 60 or 90-day-old tickets, but they do have 54 in the current 30-day queue. Excuse me. And the majority of the tickets that they are servicing across 4 mechanics up there, 74% of them are yellow buses at 177 tickets. But we'll be able to use these numbers moving forward for future vehicle justification as we kind of start tracking some trends here on these reports. So moving forward, we don't anticipate any more changes going on with any of these reports. Now it's just collecting that data and then being able to use that to make decisions. New construction at the Roberto Bobby Barrera STEM Magnet Elementary, that has been completed. The ramps were able to get painted in time for the dedication, as well as the dividing wall between the office and the cafeteria area. We will be doing a little more landscaping out there, but at this point we're considering that new construction project to be completed. Del Rio High School. The restrooms at the 8-900 wing are completed with the exception of the LED lighting, which I'm told by Snyder that will be installed this week. All of the plumbing's been tested, so we're anticipating by Friday that those restrooms will be back open, and then that will complete the restroom renovations. 200 wing renovations, we started demo there after the first of the new year. I've provided the schedule. Currently, Snyder has subcontractors in there removing all of the insulation. The ceiling grids are gone at this point in the 200 wing. Our technology department has started going through and trying to make some sense out of the cables that have accumulated in the ceilings over the years. And we're moving on to conversations right now about getting insulation back in, getting new ceiling grids back up, and coordinating that with the subcontractors while we're working in parallel with Kissling Architect on their renovations. And then the 400 wing, I did include the schedule here so we can kind of watch this as we move forward, because obviously if we have any type of delays or any lessons learned out of the 200 wing, it will impact the 400 when we get there. And then I believe Dr. Rios wanted to speak to this slide as well.
Ms. Webb, members of the board, the 200 and 400 wing project that you all have approved, and tonight we'll just do the final order to proceed, has come under budget. Slightly under budget, but under budget. If you look at the restrooms that were renovated by the cafeteria right in front of the science wing, and then the ones on the 900 wing, those are the only restrooms, or the primary restrooms used by the students. Because the project was under budget, and considering that the 400 wing has the largest amount of students, and then also considering that eventually the 1000 wing should become a fine arts wing, it just makes sense that we go back and work with the architect to see what it would cost to add restrooms to the 400 wing, because there are no restrooms there, and that's where the majority of the students are at. So we're going to talk to the operations committee on February 7th, and we're going to try to bring some preliminary numbers since we did come in under budget. But when you consider taking away the restrooms in the 1000 wing eventually, and that those are the only restrooms, and since we're already going to be doing some work in there, it just makes sense to consider those that additional renovation. So we'll work with the architect to try to get y'all a price and see what you think, but it's our recommendation that it would be worth our money to invest it in restrooms in that wing.
You think by the 7th you'd have some rough math, right?
Rough, yes. Yeah. Within $5,000.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Dr. Rios, is that, how much under budget are we right now?
Can you help me out?
A little over 200,000, and I have the exact numbers when we get to the item to notice to proceed. You can see the breakdown of where the budget started and where we're currently at.
Thank you.
Okay. And Del Rio High School chill tower replacement. That was done over the Christmas break. This photo here is the old chill tower that we had. And then they ended up bringing in big boom cranes, and this thing is monstrous. I was up there today and looked at it firsthand. That's our new chill tower system that we have in place. It's extremely quiet. The older system would almost make you go deaf. It was that loud. Whereas this system, it's efficient, it's half the size. I'm sure the energy savings on it's going to be tremendous. But at this point, that work was able to get completed, so that's another one off of our list right now. The ESCO project, what I decided to do is moving forward, I'd like to present the update to the ESCO project in this type of format, because I think it really gives you a good overview as to what location or campus has been completed, what percent it's been completed rather. In the case of this first one here, it's listed under Del Rio High School because there's so much of a need there that they're doing that as a separate project. So we're getting reports on what's being conducted for work at the high school and then what's being conducted throughout the whole district. And as you'll see as we go through some of these charts here, they are at multiple schools. A lot of them, I'm getting reports they're working third shift, they're working weekends. So they're really trying to get a lot of this stuff done without any interruption to curriculum or just day-to-day stuff that staff or students are trying to get accomplished. The lighting progress report right now, the one on the left gives you a breakdown of all the different areas, what percentage it's been completed. The mechanical progress report, again, that's giving a breakdown, what's been completed, what's in the works yet. There is a larger scope to this project, but I didn't see it to be beneficial to report on it if it's 0%. So as the months go on, we'll be adding those in as they start bringing in additional subcontractors to target a lot of these other areas. The district-wide initiatives, as far as the lighting project goes, I've supplied you on the left-hand side of this slide is the exterior lighting progress report. Again, it shows the campus and the percentage in which the exterior lighting is done. We've been receiving a lot of positive feedback that a lot of the campuses are brighter when staff and students come in the mornings right now. So on the right-hand side, we have the interior lighting progress report. Again, they're just working throughout. They see where the biggest need is. We originally sat down with Snyder and gave them some a criteria that we were trying to achieve based on the number of tickets that we're having in maintenance. We know where most of the lights are out, things like that. So we put this list together based on what those needs were. The water consumption and HVAC automation projects that are currently going on. Water conservation, those are all right now at 100%. A lot of those were a 2-day deployment at a campus. They'd go on and replace water valves, different things like that. And it wasn't very intrusive, so a couple of days they were in and out. Whereas if you get into the automation report, there's 4 campuses that they're finalizing about 2% to go on 3 of them right now. And some of that is making adjustments, getting feedback. We're trying to get those set points just right for the heating and air conditioning both to work together because of the differentials that are necessary for that to switch over. So, questions?
Going back to your all the way back to those portable buildings. So you've only got a few of those left.
3, 4, 5. We have a total of 6. We have 5 up at the warehouse on the left-hand side or the north side of the warehouse, and we have 1 at Cardwell. And they're all spoken for by one of the moving companies that helped contract their work out to another individual that ended up getting 1 from us. We had no other takers on the list.
So you believe all of those will be gone before the school session is out this year?
It's my hopes that I have a completed check mark on this for next board meeting. Right now it's weather permitting. We had some issues with the rain that we got. That slowed a few moves down, but we have been able to get the other ones out, so, yes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, that's what, they'll sit there and did nothing but get in our way
It's an old project.
for a long time. So great job getting all that commitment.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
On that same note, Mr. Yenga, have you contacted, and I know I've spoken to, I don't know if Dr. Rios or you in the past about this, contacted like the county commissioners, see if these buildings would serve as temporary housing or to that nature, something to where they can use to help families in need if and when the need arises? Have you made contact with them? I mean, can we ask that for maybe you can bring it back to the next meeting?
We had conversations with different county officials about them having the dibs on these buildings if they would want them. And I know that the sheriff looked at one, and then we even talked about trading one of the buildings for some bookshelves, and that wasn't, it didn't happen for different reasons. I will visit with them because after we get rid of these portables, which I think they're done, we still have portables at the old Travis School or old Cardwell School. So there's still other portables that they can use if they were willing to remove them. So we'll certainly have that discussion with them about the next round of portables that might possibly be in better shape.
Yeah, I mean, if they could use them as temporary shelters for families, if a house burns down or something, or food pantries, something where the community can use it, it would be great. So.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Any other comments? Being none? Thank you, Mr. Henge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we usually wait until after the consent agenda items to move items up. But because I anticipate a presentation within the consent agenda items and some other discussion, I'm going to ask the board if they are willing to move up item 13A under Business and Finance to its consideration to approve our audit, our comprehensive annual financial report.
Okay, at this time, you've heard Dr. Rios. Is there a new reason why we cannot move item 13A? Everybody's in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll go ahead and discuss item 13A. Mr. Arredondo.
Good evening, Vice President Guanajuato Webb, Secretary Gonzalez, and board members, and Dr. Rios. We're here, the item is to consider and approve comprehensive annual financial report for the year 2017-2018. The audit has been performed by Belt Harris Pehachek in compliance with the components of the Single Audit Act of 1984 and other guidelines. A representative from Belt Harris Pehachek is here. His name is Robert Belt. He's a managing partner that will be presenting the audit for you.
Good evening. It's an honor to present the results of your audit. Over on page 7 is our independent auditor's report. Very pleased to announce it's an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance we can provide to the board that all the disclosures required by generally accepted accounting principles have been included and the financial statements are materially correct. At the very back of the report, there's 2 additional reports. One of them is performed on governmental government auditing standards. The other one is in regards to the Single Audit Act. There are also, both of those reports also would refer to as clean, unmodified, and there were no findings in regards to compliance with laws and regulations or in regards to the grant program. So everything is in great shape in that regards. There's a tremendous amount of financial information within the report. Over on page 30 and 31, I'm just going to hit a few highlights. If there was one page to look at in the whole document, this would present a great overview of what took place for the district for the year. The general fund is presented in the far left-hand column, and for the year, the total revenues for the district came in at $86 million. Total expenditures came in at $89 million, giving you a net change in fund balance for the year of a net reduction of $3,466,000. You began the year with a fund balance of $34 million, and you ended the year with a fund balance of $31 million. As you're aware, fund balance is the primary indicator of financial health within a governmental entity. Most financial advisors look at your fund balance as a percentage of your total operating budget, and they're typically looking at you to want to have 60 to 90 days on hand, and so you're right up there in the 90-day mark, and so you're in very good shape from a fund balance perspective. That concludes my normal presentation. I just want to kind of highlight one thing that was unusual this year is the Governmental Accounting Standards Boards for the United States. That's who sets the generally accepted accounting principles for governmental entities. They adopted a new accounting standard called GASB Statement 75. If you'll remember, about 2 years I came out and presented to you that they had implemented GASB 68, which was bringing on the pension liability onto the books. So they're doing the same thing again, but they're bringing on what they're calling other post-employee benefits. We abbreviate it to call it OPEB. And the OPEB has to deal with providing health insurance to retirees and projecting out what that cost is going to be and what that cost is in today's dollars. So there's two different financial statements within this document. One is done on the modified accrual base of accounting. That's the one I've been talking to you about, and that's the one that your budget's prepared in accordance with, and I believe that's the most important one. And then there's also the full accrual statement. And on the full accrual statement, that's where the pension liability is presented, and that's where the other post-employee benefit pension is reported. So those are very big numbers that we brought onto the books this year. I'm just going to briefly mention those to you just so you'll be aware of it. But over on page 23 is the full accrual statement of net position. And the other post-employee benefits came in at $58 million, which has a significant impact on the unrestricted net position of the district, taking it to a negative balance of $38 million. Now, I've done this presentation all year long to districts across the state of Texas, and so you're no different than any other district that has other post-employee benefits. These are big liabilities that are way out in the future that are being brought back onto your financial statements. The other thing is, I would say that the district is along for the ride. You weren't the ones that set up these health insurance plans and set forth all those programs. That's done at the state level. So you're just along for the ride in terms of whatever that liability ends up being. So this is not a decision the district has made that has any way impacted this liability number. That concludes my presentation. I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions you have.
Questions from the board?
Do you have any, do you foresee any problems with that post-employee benefit affecting our district or any district in the future?
Well, there's probably two different ways it impacts you. The first way is, how does TEA view it in terms of the first rating indicator? And so right now, there's no indication they're going to be taking a look at that, the OPEB liability in regards to the first rating indicator. The second thing is, how does the bond market perceive these numbers? And I think that there'll be some impact on it, but that's still not the fundamental numbers that a bond rating agency is typically going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at your tax base. They're going to be looking at your fund balance numbers. Those are typically the primary indicators. Would this be a secondary indicator that might cause them some pause? But if they do, they're going to be doing the same thing for every other district in the state of Texas and in any other government across the United States. that offers other post-employee benefits. So I'm not overly concerned about it.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approves the audit report for the 2017-2018 fiscal year as presented, and for the board president and board secretary to sign the certificate of audit.
You have heard the recommendations. Do I have a motion from the board to accept the recommendations? Okay, Mr. Overfeld, second by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor? Indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Madam, for the consent agenda items, administration is requesting that item 9C be tabled for the February board meeting. We will be reissuing that bid.
Okay. You have heard Dr. Rios. Item 9C will be tabled for the February meeting. At this time, we are in consent agenda item 9. If the board would look at the minutes, if there are any corrections to the minutes, look at the items. Are there any items to be pulled or discussed? Please do so. Otherwise, one motion will approve this item. At this time, Madam Secretary, would you please acknowledge the donations?
Okay, monetary donations. Life Touch National School Studios, $678, Garfield Elementary. McDonald's Restaurant, $400, Garfield Elementary. The Spot and Pro Shop, $45, Garfield Elementary. Janita Hines, $125, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Life Touch National School Studios, $1,779.60, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Del Rio Bank and Trust, $250, Lamar Elementary, UIL. Del Rio Management Company, $100, Lamar Elementary, UIL. Ana Gonzalez, $171, North Heights Elementary Robotics. Maria Iglesias, $50, North Heights Elementary Robotics. Mario Sanchez, $100, North Heights Elementary Robotics. Christina and Mark Ortiz, $150, North Heights Elementary. Christina and Mark Ortiz, $200, North Heights Elementary Junior Lighthouse. Brown Nissan of Del Rio, $100, North Heights Elementary UIL. The Bank and Trust, $250, North Heights Elementary UIL. Life Touch National School Studios, $413, Ruben Chavita Elementary. Non-monetary donations. Livingstone Worship Center, 10 backpacks valued at $100, Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary. Border Federal Credit Union, one $25 gift card and one $50 gift card to Lonnie Green Elementary. Randy Escobar, one infant car seat, $200, Early College High School. Suzanne Villarreal Lozano, Mary Kay Products, valued at $576.68 to Early College High School. The First United Methodist Church, 60 bags of groceries valued at $600, Garfield Elementary. Anonymous, one blanket valued at $10, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Applebee's, 5 Be My Guest passes, $100, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. The Bank and Trust, 2 $25 gift cards, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Border Federal Credit Union, 10 coats valued at $200, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Border Federal Credit Union, 5 jackets valued at $100, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Christopher Keachman, one $30 gift card, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Cindy Pruneda, 2 Pioneer Woman soup cups with lids valued at $10, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Del Rio Christian Fellowship, 27 boxes of food valued at $250, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Del Rio High School Student Council, canned goods, valued at $50, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Del Rio Police Department, 10 coats, valued at $200 or dollars, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Diana Gonzalez, $125 gift card, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. HEB, $10 gift cards, valued at $100, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Home Depot, 1 Christmas tree, valued at $80, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Ignacio Guerra Jr., canned goods, valued at $50, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Iracema Guerra, 1 Pioneer Woman, drinking mason jar and cosmetics and cosmetic brushes, valued at $20, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Merle Norman, 10 gift certificates, valued at $600, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Rick's Appliance Repair, 2 bikes and 2 helmets, valued at $200, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. San Felipe Lions Club, 20 jackets, valued at $450, 27 turkeys, valued at $420, 4 toys, valued at $40, and 1 gift card, valued at $500, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Talicris Plasma Resources, 27 turkeys with all the trimmings, $800, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Expo Logistics, 57 pairs of socks and shoes, clothing and gifts for students, valued at $1,800, Irene C. Cardwell Elementary. Anonymous, 36 jackets, 10 beanies, 20 pairs of mittens, and 94 gifts, valued at $1,252.08, Lamar Elementary. Border Federal Credit Union, 5 boxes of spiral notebooks, valued at $60, Lamar Elementary. Central Church of Christ, 60 bags of snacks, valued at $280, Lamar Elementary. Valverde County, 25 pairs of shoes and 20 jackets, valued at $400, Lamar Elementary. Buffalo Wings and Rings, 25 UIL shirts, valued at $250, North Heights Elementary. Dr. Edson Martinez, 17 UIL shirts, valued at $173, North Heights Elementary. Elida Adams, 8 pizzas, valued at $42, North Heights Elementary. IHOP, 7 breakfast meals for teachers, valued at $21, North Heights Elementary. T-shirts, etc., 19 UIL shirts, valued at $193, North Heights Elementary. Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary PTO, $157 microwave, $180 microwave stand, $50 PE equipment, $40 ABC tiles, and 200 shelvings to Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary STEM Magnet School.
Thank you, Madam
The end.
Secretary, for reading all the donations. At this time, we would like to thank all of the agencies and individuals who donated to the different campuses. Thank you so much for your donations. Do we have any corrections to the minutes? Do we have any items that need to be discussed or pulled?
I'm good.
Not having heard any, I so move to accept item 9 as presented. Do I have a motion to accept? Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Overfeld. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. All in favor. Thank you.
Ma'am, just a reminder that 9C was tabled.
Yes, that was mentioned at the beginning, that 9C was tabled and is not part of the approved item. Now we are on item F, 1F, consideration to approve purchase order over $25,000 to Z Space Incorporated in the amount of $44,794. Mr. Roger Gonzalez.
It's 10 administration. Ms. Webb,
Oh,
without
I'm
your
sorry.
text, 10 administration.
This is a different one, my laptop died.
Sorry, Mr. Gonzalez, we are on
False alarm.
false alarm. You don't have to say anything. It was my mistake, sorry. We're on item 10. That was part of item 9. Item 10, under administration. Consideration to approve the revised superintendent's evaluation calendar. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, Vice President Webb, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Tonight, in accordance with Board Policy BJTC Local, the Superintendent's Evaluation Calendar provides a timeline of activities and processes which leads to the completion of the evaluation of the superintendent. Due to the most recent changes and adoption of the Superintendent's Evaluation Instrument and performance goals, there's a need to amend and update the 2018-19 evaluation calendar to be in line with the current processes. In November, we presented the review of the 2017-18 campus performance achievement data. In December, the board reviewed the financial integrity rating system, the first report. January, the board will review the superintendent's evaluation policies, BJCD legal and local, and we'll discuss the workshop for the board to review and discuss the superintendent's dashboard, and in February, conduct the formative evaluation of the superintendent. You have in your board packet a revised copy of the evaluation calendar, and you'll see that the items that are in blue have just been rearranged in the order in which we have already done some of these presentations. Are there any questions about the calendar?
The presentation by Ms. Hernandez. Are there any questions regarding the superintendent's evaluation calendar? There being none, would you please make the recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the revised 2018-19 Superintendent's Evaluation Calendar and Evaluation Process as presented.
We have heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Contreras. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next item.
No, you gotta vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor, indicate by raising your right hand. All in favor. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now we have item B, review of superintendent's evaluation policy, BJCD legal and BJC local by Sandra Hernandez.
As mentioned earlier, the superintendent's evaluation follows an appraisal process under BJCD legal. In your packet, you have a copy of BJCD legal and BJCD local. Under BJCD legal, the board shall appraise the superintendent annually using either the commissioner's recommended appraisal process and criteria or an appraisal process and performance criteria that are developed by the district in consultation with the district and campus level committees. Our board has adopted the commissioner's recommended appraisal process, and this is the process that we reviewed this past summer. The annual performance report, the information in the annual report describing the educational performance of a district will be included and shall be a primary consideration of the board in evaluating the superintendent. And the document evaluating the performance of a superintendent is confidential and it's not subject to disclosure under the Public Information Act. Looking at BJCD local, the evaluation instrument is used to evaluate the superintendent shall be based on the superintendent's job description, as in BJA local, and performance goals, and shall be adopted by the board. Those performance goals have been adopted by the board earlier this year. The board shall prepare a written evaluation of the superintendent at annual and more frequent intervals, and what the board has recommended is a formative evaluation in February and then a summative evaluation in June. The board shall furnish the superintendent with a copy of the completed evaluation and shall discuss its conclusions with the superintendent in the closed meeting. And the objectives of the evaluation is that the board shall strive to accomplish the following objectives by conducting the following in the superintendent's written evaluation: to clarify to the superintendent his or her role as seen by the board, clarify to board members the superintendent's role according to the board's written criteria as expressed in the superintendent's job description and the district's goals and objectives, foster an early understanding among new board members of the evaluation process and the current performance objectives and priorities, develop and sustain a harmonious working relationship between the board and the superintendent, and ensure administrative leadership for excellence in the district. And the board at any time may conduct and communicate oral evaluations to augment its written evaluations. Are there any questions about legal and local policies?
Are there any questions from the board? Okay. There being none, would you please make the recommendation?
This is
That's a
just a
discussion
presentation
item.
of the legal and local policies.
Thank you, ma'am. No questions.
Thank you.
At this time, we will go to item 12A, Technology and Operations. Consideration to approve RFQ number 19-03 for civil engineering services. Les Henge.
Good evening once again, Vice President. We'll have Dr. Rios, members of the board. This RFQ 19-03, excuse me, is pertaining to getting civil engineering services available for the renovations that we want to do at the Lonnie Green parking lot area to help deal with a lot of that traffic congestion out there. We did formalize and put the RFQ out. We received 4 responses from four different companies, and it is a 2-step process. So the construction manager and myself, we went through the process, graded all 4 companies, narrowed it down to 2. We began the second part of that phase, which was to get pricing and determine what that was going to look like. One of the companies, they proposed a hourly rate, but they could not give us an idea on what that hourly rate would be. And then we had another one that did it based on the percentage of the project. So the qualifications were extremely close. Pricing, I'd like to say it was extremely close, but it was really hard to identify what that hourly rate could translate into. So without knowing that, I felt more confident moving forward on a percentage base, which in this case it's 9.5% of the actual project. So should we decide to do this work over 2 or 3 phases, we can make those adjustments and we can project what those civil engineering services should cost. This is one project that's currently being reviewed with our operations committee as well. Any questions?
Questions from the board? No questions? There being no questions, Mr. Henge,
Okay.
recommendation?
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approves RFQ 19-03 for civil engineering services to Amistad Consulting Services Incorporated.
We have heard the recommendation. Is there a from the board? Mr. Overfeld, a second. Mr. Smith, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12B, notice to proceed with general contractor work in the 400 wing of Del Rio High School. Mr. Henge.
Good evening. So this notice to proceed here, What administration wanted to do was give an actual breakdown of what this project currently has, and I know the question had come up earlier. So what we've done is we started out with the $2 million budget for 200 and 400 wing renovation, taking into account the 10% for the architect as well as the 25,000 credit back that we got from the original discovery from the architect, brought the architectural fees down to 175,000. And then the board did go through and approved on January 11th for Frontera Construction in the amount of $1,595,000. As a result, our projected favorability at this time is $205,000.
Dr. Rios?
Usually, in our approval process, this would be the fourth stage, but because there was no need to cut the budget, there was no value engineering, and the project will be completed as designed by the architect. If there had been some changes, then we would be bringing the value engineering and final contract for y'all to approve. But since that didn't happen, we're just sharing with y'all in discussion that we will give the architect the order to proceed. And then if we bring changes after we discuss with the operations committee, then we'll bring those forward. But at this time, the architect and the contractor will get the order to proceed based on what was designed and what the board was approved with no changes.
Yep, perfect.
Any questions? No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 14, Human Resources. 14A, Dr. Rios?
I'm sorry, ma'am. For the principals that are in attendance, unless this affects one of your individuals, thank you for your participation. Thank you for bringing the students and teachers to celebrate our board. You can stay, or you can go home and be warm. Thank y'all.
Thank you for all the gifts. Really appreciate it.
Good evening again. Annually, TASB publishes recommended changes to the employment contracts, and our department amends our contracts, and then we send them to our attorney for approval. And in your packet, you have the recommended changes. Is there any question on those? There was no changes, only to the employment contract amendment for the rehire, but I just included in there just for those of you that are new so that you can see what that contract looks like.
Yeah. Are there any questions regarding employee contracts?
Yes, sir.
No.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry,
no
I thought you said.
Okay, there are no questions. Thank you, ma'am.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the employment contracts as presented.
We have heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Contreras, second by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 14B, consideration to approve the addition of 2 ARD clerks position to the Special Ed Department. Ms. Aida Garcia.
During the December 2018 board meeting, we requested 4 ARD clerks. However, the board approved 2 positions pending funding, summary of the excess position, and any favorability. So those were sent to the board through a board communique. These ARD clerks will provide additional support to relieve some of the non-evaluation duties of the educational diagnostician, allowing them with more time to complete evaluations in a timely manner, since they've had an increase of 137 compared to about 47 evaluations that they had last year. Questions?
Questions from the board?
Yes, what exactly do we do? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to vote no right now for that off the bat, because I don't understand exactly. I can understand the facilitator, but not the clerk. What exactly do they do? I mean, because I don't want it to be like a personal secretary.
Yes, and we do have Dr. Aguirre here, so she
And
can
excuse me
clarify
if-
that for
if-
you.
For my ignorance, but
No, that's.
Good evening.
good evening, ma'am.
The art clerk would help facilitate some of the paperwork that's done. We do have 8 diagnosticians and we do contract with some, but the paperwork duties they're huge. They wouldn't be assigned to just one person, but they would help with some of the paperwork duties that the special ed diagnosticians currently take care of.
So we have enough work to keep them employed year after year? Because, see, what the problem is,
Yes.
because once we have them on board, we're gonna have to retain them. And do we really have that much work where they're gonna be there 8 hours of work every day?
Yes, yes, they would be.
Dr. Ida, what I need you to share with our board is, one, the number of ARDs that are involved annually, and briefly describe the process that starts all the way from the child study and the paperwork that's involved in that, and filing it and routing it to the campuses, the multiple notices sent to parents, the feedback from the teachers, and the system where all this information is inputted, because special education is one branch of our work that just really, we haven't created that awareness, and we need to. So can you just briefly go through that process to try to, so that we can visualize
And who reviews the
that?
work and who follows up with this paperwork to make sure that's being done on
We
a daily
do.
basis?
We do in the
How
office.
often?
We have deadlines that are implemented by the federal government. So we have a certain amount of timelines, and we have to complete everything. So, for example, we have over 1,000 special education students. By law, each student has to have an annual meeting. And Dr. Rios had mentioned the ARD, and those are admission review. That comes after the evaluation process. But for every child, there is a vast amount of documentation that is collected and discussed in an ARD meeting. Once that is completed, it is sent, I would say like a systems check into our office, because many items must be documented. So we have to double check on everything. Parents also get copies of these documents by law. And annual arts are just one type of meeting that we have. We also have brief meetings, which could be for multiple reasons. We also have amendments. We also have meetings on our special education students. Let's say if they're thinking of removing a student due to disciplinary action, then that's a whole nother type of meeting called manifestation determinations. So the paperwork is great. Now, what they would do, for example, for the 1,000 and some students that we have that we schedule annuals, briefs, the clerk would help send the notice to the parent, because by law, we have to notify the parents 5 days in advance of every meeting. So that means completing documentation, making sure that it's mailed, that it goes out to the parents, and that they receive notice. In addition, the clerks would also notify the teachers at the campuses. We have to have certain teachers invited to attend, and that's a whole nother level of work. So right now, the diagnosticians are having to do this. And so it's a lot of clerical work that needs to be done, and that takes away from their evaluation work.
No, and the reason I'm asking is because I've checked with other districts, and some districts have them, some districts don't. In fact, they have teams in certain districts where you have different types, but, you know, in some, I've mentioned, do you have an ARD clerk? No, because the actual facilitator does the work. And I'm pretty sure we're talking about district-wide. If we have 1,000, I can imagine statewide. I mean, we're not, you know.
Yes, and that is
So-
correct.
Dr. Rios?
Madam Chair, here's something that we need to consider. The reality is that the ARD facilitator position is going to be very difficult to fill for a couple of reasons. The recommendations that have already occurred are classroom teachers. And there is no way that we are going to release classroom teachers from their teaching contract to fill a facilitator position. And right now, the recommendations all include classroom teachers. And that's just not gonna happen. I know that it's not the popular thing to say, especially for people that had hopes of filling those jobs, but we can't leave those positions vacant. Teaching positions, we cannot leave them vacant. The most immediate help that we can provide the diagnosticians are the clerks, because I am not going to convince myself to release special education teachers in the classrooms working with students to do art facilitating work. They're both important, but at the end of the day, we need the teachers. So the fastest way to provide relief to the diagnosticians is by approving the clerks, sir. And because of the changing times and the increased number, we need to either hire more diagnosticians or provide them assistance. And we've had diagnosticians vacancies for a long time. They're not out there, and they do need some relief. So I urge y'all to approve the clerk position.
Dr. Rios. And Dr. Aguirre, thank you for what you just mentioned. I work with many diagnosticians, and I admire them for what they do, but they do have a timeline and a time span from the time they start the art to the time that they test and evaluate. And those timelines have to be met one way or another. And it's very, very stressful for them when they're trying to evaluate a child and at the same time do the paperwork and notices to the parents and inform the teachers. It's an overwhelming for the diagnosticians.
Yes, ma'am.
So have we hired the last two, the last diagnostician and the last two ARD clerks? Have we have any applicants?
Yes, we do. We have, we're setting up interviews for the clerks, and we've set up interviews and interviewed for facilitator. But it's like Dr. Rios said, it's hard to release a teacher.
No, I understand. I mean, but I'm sorry, I'm still not sold for this ARD clerk. I just don't see it. I mean, like I said, I've checked other districts and they don't have them. I mean, they have the facilitators, they have the LSSPs, they have the special therapists, they have the life unit teacher. I mean, they have everything just about we have except the ARD clerk. And some districts are bigger than us, with a lot more kids than us, and they don't have them. Just my take.
Yes, I know districts that do. I know Laredo uses them quite a bit. Art clerk. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from other board members? Not hearing any, your recommendation, please.
Yes, ma'am. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve 2 art clerk positions for the special education department.
You have heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Overfeld, second by Mr. Smith. All in favor? 4, 5. 5 in favor. Any opposed? 1 opposed. Thank you, ma'am. Item 14C, consideration to approve the addition of 1 art facilitator position to the special ed department. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, ma'am. We were here also last month during the December 2018 meeting requesting 2 art facilitators, and the board approved 1 pending reviewing the summary of the excess positions. So we're here again to consider the approval of 1 additional art facilitator. And the art facilitator will be responsible for chairing and co-chairing the art meetings at assigned campuses, as well as coordinating, planning, and preparing compliance documents for students eligible for special education services.
You have heard the comments. Any questions from the board regarding the art facilitator? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Oh, can you read the recommendation, please?
Yes, ma'am. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve one new art facilitator position for the Special Education Department.
You have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Overfeld, second by Ms. Sanders. All in favor, indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes, all in favor. Thank you, ma'am. Item 14D, consideration to approve the conversion of excess budgeted position for a counselor secretary position at Del Rio Middle School. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, ma'am. This position was also brought last month pending the review of the excess position fund. This position is requested by Del Rio Middle School. They have 2 counselor secretaries for the 8th grade, and they need 1 more for the 7th grade because they only have 1. So we want to have 2 counselor secretaries in 7th grade and then 2 counselor secretaries in 8th grade due to the realignment at Del Rio Middle School.
Are there any questions regarding the position, secretary position at the 7th grade? Not hearing any. Would you make the recommendation, please?
Yes, ma'am. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the conversion of an excess budget position to counselor secretary at Del Rio Middle School.
You have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Ms. Gonzalez, is there a second? Mr. Contreras, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am. Item 14E, we have consideration to approve employee job descriptions and evaluation forms. Supervisor's payroll will be tabled.
And so will the director for budget.
Then we have accounting assistant, journeyman electrician, receptionist, coordinator position, control. Director budget will be tabled, and we have administrator special populations. Presenting will be Aide Garcia.
Yes, ma'am. As you mentioned, the payroll supervisor is tabled. The accountant assistant, currently on the job description, it indicates that this position reports to the comptroller. We have 3 positions in the district for this position. There's one in the special education department, there's one in accounting, and there's one with federal programs. So what we're recommending is to change the reports to so that they can report to the department head, which would be the comptroller, director of special education, and the chief instructional officer. The next, any questions on that one? Okay. The next job description is the journeyman electrician. We accidentally left off the man and journeyman, so we're proposing to include that. And then also, due to no applicants and the position that has been posted already for a while, the department is recommending to change the education certification to valid journeyman electrician license preferred. And then also on the experience, 3 to 5 years experience in electrical field also preferred. Questions for that job description?
Are there any questions regarding the journeyman? No, ma'am, go ahead.
The job description for receptionist is being recommended to change title from district receptionist to receptionist. And this is in case we need other receptionists in the future, this job description would be available for that need. Any questions on the receptionist?
Any questions on? Okay, go ahead.
The finance coordinator is being proposed to change to position control coordinator. This position in the past was titled HR and finance coordinator, then it changed to finance coordinator. So a lot of these responsibilities are with HR. So we're going to change the reports to the chief human resource officer and change the title to position control coordinator.
Okay, any questions regarding the coordinator position control? No, ma'am, please continue.
As mentioned, the budget director has been tabled. The special population administrator, this is would be a new position. At this moment, we're only asking approval for the job description itself. Next month, we will bring to the board to ask permission to post this position and allocate funds to fund it. So is there any questions for the job description itself or duties? We also have Dr. Aguirre here if you have questions for that.
Yes, because to me,
Go ahead, Mr. Contreras.
just means another job we're adding, we're creating jobs. What would this person be doing now?
If I may, Madam
Rios?
Chair, earlier when Ms. Gomez was making the presentation, I asked her to pause and show those 3 slides with all of the units. And that person would help supervise the instructional improvements of the units, the coordination. If you, well, if we consider, for example, the unit at Garfield, unfortunately, in these units, first of all, there's oftentimes a transition in personnel, and because of the severe needs of the students being served in those units, it requires the reestablishment of procedures, the retraining of the hired staff. Unfortunately, the students served in these units oftentimes are so underserved just because they have these tremendous needs, and there needs to be some consistency there. The number of interventions that have to happen on a daily basis are tremendous. It's not possible for a campus principal to run the campus and still provide that level of support to the unit. So as a result, the ones that suffer are the students, and then by extension, the personnel, because there's just so much transition. I'm just talking about the Garfield unit. If we look at every unit, for example, the unit at Calderon, the life skills unit, the units at Del Rio Middle School throughout the district, there's just a whole lot of need, and there needs to be a lot of support. This was something that we had discussed maybe a year and a half ago, and then different things happened, and so we come back to it this time again. The need hasn't gone away. I would just venture to say that the need has gotten a lot bigger. I assigned somebody temporarily to this position just because at Garfield alone, the need was tremendous. Police officers are called there almost on a daily basis. Chief Maldonado can attest to that. And it's not because the kids are just so violent, but it's just because it's just difficult to control because of the absence of procedures. So I know it's another position, but our most underserved population in the district is the special education population, and we need to increase the supports.
So quick question tied
Mr. Smith?
to Mr. Contreras' questions. Mr. Contreras was comparing special education coverage in other campus or other districts to ours and the needs. What about head count? Do we know what these other districts' special ed needs are in comparison to ours, head count wise and severity wise?
I don't know that we know severity wise because we don't know what code the students are in a lot of cases. Now, having worked in different districts, you know, I can tell you that the layers of support are higher in other districts. And it probably is that because they experienced the larger numbers in special education than we did earlier. Now our numbers have caught up percentage-wise, so now we're desperately needing some of these interventions.
Yeah, I think Mr. Contreras' points are valid about you know, when you're adding one or two through one or two heads based on certain needs, probably less questions, but, and it's a fair amount of resources that, that administration is asking for. And how do you scrub that data to validate that that's the right need, right? That head count's the right need. So anyway.
So at this time, would we want to bring this item for our next meeting and have
I think
maybe
all we're
answers?
doing here, we're not approving the position, we're just approving the fact
Right.
that it's got a job
The
description.
job description.
Right, yeah, I'm good with it. It's just, the question begs itself when you're adding that many head count to the district. It's no big deal, just justifying it.
Here's what we'll do before we bring a recommendation of an actual person. I will work with our Director of Special Education, Dr. Aguirre, and our Chief Human Resource Officer, just to put together a comparison. And I know they're going to have to reach out to TASB just to show the number of personnel by positions that a special education department would have in districts that we compare ourselves to, so that y'all can have a clear picture. But I have no doubt that when we lay out that organizational chart for other districts, you're going to see just the different levels of support. And we'll even throw in there the number of special education population by enrollment, so that we can see that we're not that far off on the enrollment. We're pretty much, the state made sure that we were all at the same level.
Yeah, to be clear, I think you've done a very good job describing the fact that we've got a deficit that we need to close. It's just how much, yeah, right. So just to be clear, I totally support. It's just what the volume is. Right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. We'll provide the additional information before we actually bring a name forward. But as Mr. Smith said, we're not even allocating a budget at this time. We're just the position to continue to explore it, and we'll definitely provide that information before we provide a recommendation of an actual person.
Yeah, can I say,
Yes,
my
sir.
concern is we're not just making up positions, and then later on we come back and we reclassify into something else, and we're just adding layer after layer after layer after positions. I mean, you're right, special education is one of our most needed services, you know, with these kids. You know, and I would like for our principals to be more attentive to these classrooms and to be more visible in these classrooms. However, you know, at this point, I just don't feel that we're doing that, and yet we're adding positions. And if we're gonna make up a position, and before we do that, I think, you know, we need to make sure that it's actually needed, and it's actually it's gonna be doing what we intended to do before we bring up somebody else. And this is the way it starts. Although we just adding a position or approving it, it's a start. Then later on, we're gonna have another meeting, and then we're gonna be approving it. You know, so this is a start. So, you know, before we bring up anything, I think we need to justify the position and what we're gonna use it for. You know, that's just my take.
So at this time, I'll ask the board, do we want to vote on each one of the job descriptions separately? Or do we want to make a motion for all of them inclusive, or leave out the administrator special populations separate?
Let's hold that one separately.
Separately? Okay. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Pull that one out
Separately.
That's fine. I'm
Okay.
good with it.
So at this time, if you can read the recommendation with tabling the supervisor payroll, the director budget, and pulling out the administrator's special population.
I'll read the recommendation. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the employee job descriptions for account assistant, journeyman electrician, receptionist, coordinator, position control. The job description, evaluation forms, and the revised job classification schedule as discussed.
You have heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Smith, do I have a second? Mr. Contreras, all in favor, indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. No.
Second. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the employee job description evaluation form and revised job classification schedule for the administrator special populations.
You have heard the recommendation regarding administrator special population. Do we have a motion to approve? Mr. Overfelt, do we have a second? Ms. Gonzalez? All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Okay, 5. All opposed? 1, Mr. Contreras. We are now down to item 14F, consideration to approve update to the 2018-2019 district compensation plan. And I believe that that one will be amended. Presenting will be Ms. Aide Garcia.
Yes, ma'am. In your seat, we added the updated administrative professional pay plan. So the amendment shows that we only have under pay grade 2 for administrative professional pay plan, the change of coordinator finance to coordinator position control. There's no other changes on that sheet. Then in the next sheet, which is pay grade 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, there's no changes. And then we could go back to the packet. In your packet, you show the update for the paraprofessional pay plan on pay grade 3. We're changing the title from district receptionist to receptionist, and also including the 193 days in addition to the 226. There's no changes to paraprofessional pay plan, pay grade 4 and 5, 4, 6, 7, and 8. On the auxiliary pay plan, there's no changes, other than, I'm sorry, the one for the journeyman, where we just included none to correct the journeyman electrician. Then we'll continue with the 2018-19 supplemental stipends. In the first page, there's no changes. In the second page, we're bringing back the yearbook sponsor as requested by Del Rio High School. And that's for a total of $1,500 to match the written art sponsor stipend. In the following page, where it shows freshman, middle school, and elementary, there's no changes. Those are all the changes to the compensation pay plan.
Are there any questions regarding the compensation district plan?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The
Contreras.
$1,500 stipend for the yearbook. I know that we had a conversation earlier about the high school not having a yearbook, and there was some language or some conversations on it. So was it because we didn't have the $1,500 stipend that nobody wanted to do it, or because we really didn't have any interest from the students buying that yearbook to begin with? But what was the deal with that? I mean, because I know all of a sudden now we have this stipend.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rios?
Late in the summer, we reviewed the debt that the yearbook had accumulated over the years, because the publishers require that you buy at least, I believe it's 125 yearbooks. And because they weren't selling, it was always costing more to print than you could bring in money. The debt was at some point, it was about $11,000. So the sponsor had to continue to fundraise just to pay off the debt. And at some point, said, well, it's just not worth all the work because it's not selling. There's clearly not an interest in it. So then they decided to stop publishing a yearbook.
and that teacher was assigned other classes. There was some interest expressed by parents. So what we did was we contacted a yearbook vendor and asked if they would produce the yearbook and sell directly to the parents. So we went back to TASB and we said, okay, so what would a survey look like for this type of work? And it was suggested that we provide the same stipend that we provide to the magazine Written Art. And now the parents will buy directly from the producer of the yearbook. Our sponsor will still put it together, but they'll upload the pictures to them and they'll take the responsibility for whether they make a profit or not. And that's where we're at. I'm glad that we're able to produce a yearbook. It won't be as thick as it was before, and there won't be as many people involved. The sponsor will be doing a whole lot of the work, but we'll still have a yearbook. So we were definitely got some pushback from some people that wanted it, and we responded, and I hope that everybody's pleased and that we can save money moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Garcia, would you read the recommendation excluding pay grade 5, Director of Budget, since that was tabled?
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the updates to the 2018-19 District Compensation Plan, excluding the Director of Budget, since that was tabled.
We have heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve as presented? Mr. Overfeld, second by Mr. Contreras. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am. We are on item G, 14G, consideration to approve the submission of a request for a maximum class size waiver expansion to TEA. Aide Garcia.
Each school district in Texas is required to conduct a class size enrollment survey, and we do this every month. The classes from kinder to grade 4 have to be within 22:1 class size teacher ratio. And this month, we identified 2 second grade classes at Dr. Lonnie Green that exceed the maximum class size. And that was 23:1 in each class.
Do we have any questions from the board regarding the application for impact aid?
For the class size.
I mean, the maximum class size waiver, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
There being no questions, do I read the recommendation, please?
Yes, ma'am. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submission of the request of maximum class size waiver exception to TA and compliance plan.
We have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Overfeld. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Item 14H, consideration to approve submittal of application for impact aid. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, impact aid was designed to assist local school districts that have lost property tax revenue due to the presence of tax-exempt federal property. So we're asking for, to be able to submit this application, and the deadline is on Thursday, January the 31st, not Wednesday. Questions?
Any questions from the board regarding the application for impact aid?
Can you give us an example of a property that would qualify for this, to be able to request this fund?
Most of them are children that live at the base. Those are some of the ones that we have. And then there's some other housing, federal property.
Section 8 housing properties?
Yes, those also. Mhm.
Would it be anything, for example, that has a housing authority that, I know for the city, they used to get a discounted rate, and there was a one lump sum that we received from them. However, is that similar to that?
Yes, and last year we received $165,754 with 10 cents.
Okay, thank you.
So just, mhm.
Any other questions? There being none, would you please read the recommendation?
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submittal of the application for grant under the Impact Aid Section 7003 for the 2020 school year and for the superintendent to sign.
We have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Mr. Contreras, second by Mr. Smith. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am. We are now on item 17, closed session. It is 8:57. If during the course of any duly posted meeting, the Board of Trustees determines that a closed or executive session is required regarding an item posted on the agenda, the session will be held on all subjects as proposed permitted by sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.075, 551.082, 551.084, 551.087 of the Government Code, the Texas Opens Meetings Act. If a final vote is required on any matters considered in closed or executive session, it will be taken either upon the reconvening of the public session covered by this notice or at a subsequent duly posted public meeting as the board shall determine. Item A, pertinent to 551.074, discussion of personnel or the hearing complaint against personnel, and 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. A1, discussion of personnel report to include the following: new hirees, district vacancies, retirement, resignations, or reassignments. A2, discussion of salary adjustments to include the following: service credits, salary matrix adjustments. We are now in closed session. It is now 10:02. We will now reconvene to open session. Let the record show that no action was taken in closed session. We are now on item 17A, pursuant to 551.074, discussion of personnel or (17A1), discussion of personnel report to include the following: new hirees and district vacancies, retirements, resignations, and reassignments. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, good evening. It is a recommendation of the administration that the board approve the following new personnel: Sofia Arroyo, kindergarten teacher at Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary; Ashley Castro, fourth grade teacher at Dr. Fermin Calderon; Mercedes Owen, second grade bilingual teacher at Ruben Chavira Elementary; Jose Limon, third grade bilingual beginner intermediate teacher at Ruben Chavira Elementary; Sabrina Medrano, second grade teacher at Lamar Elementary; Adan Balades, second grade bilingual teacher at Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary; Cruz Rodriguez at North Heights Elementary. And we have Maria Leticia Gutierrez, also at North Heights Elementary; Ramsel Rodriguez, ELA teacher at Del Rio Freshman School; Lisa Nielsen, science teacher at Del Rio High School; and Monica Sandoval, ELA teacher at Del Rio High School.
Are there any questions from any of the board members? There being none, may we have the recommendation?
It is the recommendation for the Board of Trustees to approve the recommendation, the new hires as discussed.
Okay, we have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve? By Mr. Contreras and Mr. Overfeld, second. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We're now on 18B.
consideration to approve salary adjustments to include but not limited to the following as discussed in closed session: service credit and service metrics adjustment. Ms. Garcia?
None at this time.
Not at this time. Thank you, ma'am. At this time, there being no other items on the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn? Who was first? Mr. Overfeld, second by Mr. Contreras. All in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you.